I'm Mary Poppins, y'all! Somebody had to say it. Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and welcome to my review for Mary Poppins Returns. This movie was directed by Rob Marshall, and it is a sequel to Mary Poppins, which is one of the best Disney films ever made. Fight me. And this movie picks up a couple decades after the original. Jane and Michael Banks have grown up, and Michael is about to lose 17 Cherry Tree Lane. His wife has died, he took out a loan that he couldn't pay for, and his life is pretty much falling apart. Enter Mary Poppins, played by Emily Blunt. And not only does Mary Poppins help Michael's own children, but also helps Michael find the whimsy that he lost in adulthood. I think I could pretty much sum up my initial feelings for Mary Poppins Returns when it was announced like this. Please don't do that. Because I believe that Mary Poppins is not only one of the best Disney movies ever made, it's one of my personal favorites. It's a movie that I've seen many times. It's a beautifully made movie. I love everything about it. I love Julie Andrews. I love the kids. David Tomlinson is one of the most underrated actors of that time period. I even love Dick Van Dyke and his crappy Cockney accent. I love it all, and I do not discriminate. And I should say immediately off the bat that any attempt to make a Mary Poppins reboot or sequel is like trying to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. You can certainly try, but you're never going to be able to capture that same majesty as the first. And with that said, Mary Poppins Returns was actually good. Was it better than the first? Not by a country mile. But in terms of what I was expecting versus what I got, I was pleasantly surprised. First of all, Emily Blunt is absolutely Mary Poppins. If you were to force a gun to my head and say, make a new Mary Poppins, I wouldn't. But if you were absolutely going to pull the trigger, I would say, okay, first step, give the main role to Emily Blunt. Because she absolutely is Mary Poppins. She walks, she talks, and she even smells like the role. She sings, she dances. Blunt is the total package in this movie. She is slowly becoming one of my favorite actresses, because she was awesome in A Quiet Place, and she was awesome here. I also liked Lin-Manuel Miranda as Jack. He's pretty much Bert, but, they named him Jack because, I guess switch the names around and it makes a different character, I guess, despite the fact that he worked for a chimney sweep and he's still dirty and wears the hat and the garb. He's basically Bert. But Lin-Manuel Miranda does do a very good job. I mean, the guy clearly knows what he's doing in the singing and dancing department. I'm not a humongous fan of him, but I do respect him for his talent in musicals such as Hamilton and In the Heights. And if you were to choose another Bert, Lin-Manuel Miranda would be on my short list. And he did a very good job. I also liked the other characters. I liked Jane and Michael Banks. I liked Michael Banks' kids. I think the only characters that I inherently didn't like were Meryl Streep and Colin Firth, and I'll talk about them in a second. On the whole, one of my biggest worries were the songs and the dancing, because the songs and the dance sequences in the original Mary Poppins they're iconic. You cannot be Julie Andrews in the singing department, and you cannot be Dick Van Dyke and Step in Time in terms of the dance department. And while the songs in this movie are kind of like the Diet Coke to Mary Poppins' regular Coke, there were still some pretty good songs in here. My favorite one is Nowhere to Go But Up. In terms of what I didn't like about the movie was I didn't like Meryl Streep's character. I think she's a great actress, she's won a ton of awards, and I'm not denying her talent. What I am going to take issue with is that she served no purpose. Now, I know the argument, the drunk uncle in the first one really did serve no purpose, but at least he was funny. And in this, I was like, okay, you went to get the bowl fixed, and then they never address it again. And then you have Colin Firth, who plays the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. That's pretty much his role. He's an evil banker who profits off of the woes of the downtrodden. Colin Firth is a great actor, but this role I just didn't like this character because there was clearly a bad guy in this movie. This was clearly not going to be like the first one where there was no true bad guy. It was just adults and children who had made mistakes, and it took Mary Poppins to show them the way. No, you had to shoehorn in an evil banker. And I guess my kind of frustration with the movie is that I didn't get the same emotional punch from this movie like I did the first one. Now, call me a bitter clinger, call me whatever you like. But in the first movie, that movie was just a masterpiece. Like in terms of visual storytelling and emotion. There's a great scene where David Tomlinson is about to lose his job and he walks to the bank and the street is dark and the Sherman Brothers' amazing music is playing overhead. Not too loud, but just enough to notice. And you just feel this 20-pound weight on your chest because you know that he is not a bad guy. He's just made mistakes with his children and mistakes with his bank. And you know he's going to lose his job. And you don't want to see that happen. This movie had none of that. Instead, you have an evil banker who is about as subtle as a Jackson Pollock painting. Needless to say, I was very disappointed. But regardless, I'm going to give the movie a good rating. It was far better than I had ever thought a Mary Poppins sequel could be. But it's a perfectly acceptable movie. It's serviceable. It's fine. Most of the actors are good. The singing and dancing are very good. If you're a Mary Poppins fan, I recommend seeing it once and then just never seeing it again. That's all for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be reviewing Aquaman and Bumblebee also in the near future. But if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like. And if you saw the movie and you have your own thoughts, leave them in the comment section below. I do read the comments, so please let me have it. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.